butterflies in the stomach and goosebumps. But for Ralf, it's not enough. He wants more than an ordinary Aston Martin. For him, the Anglo should be a sports car that has never existed before. When we're finished, when we've done all we can, the car will simply be on a much higher level. Ralf is too far away to see, touch, experience the Aston. The first to get his hands on Aston is Mike. The interior space specialist dismantled the dream car in 5 hours. 14 days are left for Mike to rebuild the Aston with a DVD player and digital power amplifiers. Then the Aston has an appointment with the engine specialists. Mike has experienced this sort of time pressure from other projects. And then suddenly it's Christmas, and 3 days before all hell breaks loose, but you just have to deal with it. Mike must work day and night to get the Aston ready. For Mike, the real horror is that he doesn't have enough time. The specialist from Exton has not even left the construction site these last days. When you've been on the go for 42 hours, you feel as if you've been run over by a bus. Every single bone in the body aches, and you need to sleep for 3 days before the pain disappears. The monitor is now where controls and buttons once were. The parts are affixed to the framework of polished stainless steel. The trunk is also polished to a high shine. The 3 digital power amplifiers are highlighted by 40 LEDs. Before, it was just a black hole. In only 2 weeks, Mike emptied out the Aston and rebuilt a new one from scratch. Ralf, the owner, barely recognizes his car. You could say that the car could have come out of the Aston Martin factory like this, perfected, not calling for any further improvement. Okay, fine, I'm the suspension specialist. The V8 sets off on a long journey for engine tuning purposes to the holy land of motorsports, ProDrive. The specialists from the UK are amongst the most well-known when it comes to Formula One, Rally and Aston Martin. Here, hellish race cars are made from harmless sports cars. Engineer Peter Cambridge is proud of the new 20-inch rims. They save a kilo of weight per tyre.
Which we run. So we have a twin 14-spoke style wheel. We're having them made in Japan. They're forged wheel.
A military airfield near Warwick serves as a test centre. And because Ralf has never driven an Aston Martin before, he can, for the first time, try out his Vantage. A cordoned-off route allows Ralf to give free rein to the horsepower. Incredible. It's just obvious this car is something special, and even more special thanks to the modifications we've made. The car is in England to undergo further changes. The Aston needs to be able to switch into cruise mode just by pressing a button, a hard nut to crack for the mechanics. They've already tested various suspension settings, and when the car has finally the best traction on the road, the 2 alternative set springs will result in a single one, far above the usual standard.
This will give you a much more sporty drive, a lot more body control. This is very much a production compromise, and this has been tailored specifically to the style of driving that we think the owners would appreciate more. This is the one we want, so this is the one we're going to put on the car.
It needs at least 4 more detailed settings until the correct one is found. Paul Veal is responsible for the engine. He's discovered a unique new software that brings more than just sheer power.
It's been specifically calibrated to be more sports feel. In this car, where the throttle is driven by electronics rather than the driver's foot, we can actually change the way that the car responds to the driver and the feedback it gives him.
The V8, to date, generates 380 horsepower. To get a bit more, the mechanics replaced the catalysator with a significantly weaker version. The new Cat just meets the relatively low English limit. This means that after the necessary settings adjustments, there are suddenly 430 horsepower. That's the sound of money.
Depending which position this valve is actually in, and that's again is controlled by the engine controller. And Aston Martin have spent a lot of time developing, so it sounds very nice. Sounds like a V8, proper good noise.
The moment of truth. Ralf gets the first run as bodywork is his business. The master of springs and stabilizers feels the difference. The driving behavior has noticeably been improved.
Whoa!
Leute.
In sport mode, you have the feeling that the car is just waiting to be released, just like an athlete with tensed muscles before his event, and that's exactly how we describe our suspension. The Aston should be ready in 1 week. Then this car, worth approximately 150,000 euros, will be the showpiece at Ralf's stand at the auto show. From the original idea to the end result has been a long way. In many ways, what we've achieved makes me proud, because doing something like this, using such a platform, is for Eibach more or less the tip of the iceberg.
Bis heute die Spitze des Eisbergs.
Ralf must be separated from his Vantage Special once again. With the interior decoration and English racing tyres, he gets a bit closer to his idea of what a dream car should be.